guys are the inspiration for 007. PK Wicks comes to him. He's like, hey, you're French nobility. We want you. If you'll have you, here's the thing. You got to pass this super rigorous training. But if you pass, we'll jump your ass back into France and you can take the fight to the Germans. Robert is immediately interested because he really wants to fight the Germans.
He's like, finally, somebody who understands what I want to do. Bum, 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 bum. Well, you're cold, 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 cold as ice. What's up, everybody? Celtic Yorker here, back with our reaction at those 10s and 20 views. Yes, I was just singing Cage the Elephant. It was one of the few songs that gave me joy during the Christmas season because, you know, I work retail, therefore we played nothing but Christmas song constantly. But surprisingly, Cage the Elephant kept popping up, and they're such good band. Today, we are reacting to one of my favorite content creators, the Fat Electrician. And the video we're reacting to is the Ministry of The Ministry of Ungentlemanly Warfare. I feel like I should need a mustache for this. Like, I got a good beard going on, but this feels like a good mustache. Yeah, the Ministry of Ungentlemanly Warfare's Demolition Man, Robert de la Rochalana, but something like that. If you don't know, the Ministry of Ungentlemanly Warfare is a movie. There is the poster of it, and it's actually really good. So, watching the movie, knowing that I think only one character in that movie was not based on an actual person, the frog, the demolition guy, I think was based off though not real. So, with that being said, yes, I do need to get the.
A few moments later.
Oh, it's football. I'm like, what the hell is that one there? And boop, there's Nick. All right, let's get down to business. Let's learn some shit. Oh, and it should be great because just based off that movie alone, great.
I don't cover
Again, it helps to plug in, headphones. It is a good thing. I think he said normally I don't cover non-Americans.
I don't cover non-Americans very often, but when I do,
Oh yeah, because at least he's done. Simo Hea is the only one I can think of that he did.
You know it's something absolutely crazy. Today we're talking about Robert La Rochefoucauld, a boy that escaped Nazi-occupied France, made his way over to Great Britain where he was trained by the British SOE, also known as the Ministry of Ungentlemanly Warfare.
And also part of the founding fathers of the SAS. Technically. I know the SAS is also a great series. Had their start mostly in the African conflict, but these guys are also founding mindset of wait a second, I can use special ops style guys. Oh yeah.
After completing his training, he was then parachuted back into Nazi-occupied France, where he was tasked with training French resistance fighters in how to be saboteurs and carrying out guerrilla warfare, as well as carrying out massive sabotage missions himself before being captured by the Nazis, tortured, sentenced to death, and somehow escaping before he would get rescued and then jump back into France and do it all over again. And we're gonna get into it right after.
If he's that guy, he was the one they actually had to go rescue. It'd be actually really cool.
For a word from our sponsor.
Of course, Battle Electrician actually is kind of cool with reaction channels. So I'm going to let his thing play out. Like and subscribe to this video if I see to be your type of idiot. Definitely like and subscribe to the Fat Electrician. Link to the original video and his shop is going to be in my bio. Yes, if I do a reaction to your videos, I make sure you can at least get people go and try to buy your merch.
Sir.
Delete me. Why'd you give me a shotgun? It kicks too hard.
Yeah, I know. I like watching the recoil.
What are you talking about?
Nothing. Just keep firing it a lot. Preferably in slow motion. Hey, did it jiggle?
Did what jiggle?
When you fell from heaven. All right, here's the deal. Super simple, straightforward.
God, look, that right there is every man's true dream. Have a wife that puts up with your bullshit and still loves you.
business model. You give them money, they turn around and make sure the data brokers on the internet aren't selling your personal information. What does that even mean? Okay, here's the entire internet and every free service on the planet inside of a nutshell. Okay, there's a saying, if you're not paying for the product, you are the product. What that means is pretty much anything on the internet that you use, that's a service, whether that be Google, Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, all of it. Okay, it's all an app. So one of two things is happening. They're either going to feed you ads, and that's how that company makes money since their service is free, or they're going to collect your personal information, then turn around and sell it to data brokers on the internet, and then they're going to turn around and sell it to whoever buys it, and next thing you know, you're getting 17,000 robocalls every single day. And that's where Delete Me comes in. They will look through all the major data brokers and find the ones that are selling your personal information and submit opt-out requests on your behalf, and then they are legally obligated to comply. And then they'll continue to monitor these data brokers, and if they get your information again, Delete Me will submit an opt-out request again. Basically, you're paying Delete Me to get rid of all the downsides of all of the free stuff on the internet, which I think is absolutely worth it. If you want to check them out, I'll have a link and a discount code down below. Let's get back to the video.
All right, here we go. Go time. Do I have Riley and Jonesy clip? If not, they're now in my arsenal.
TikTok. Go time!
All right, our story begins in Paris, France in 1923 when Robert La Rochefoucauld was born. He is one of 10 children. And unlike pretty much every other World War II war...
That's tends to be the start of a lot of these videos around World War II. He is one of a ton of kids.
Hero I've talked about on this channel, he did not grow up poor in poverty during the Great Depression.
You messed with his eyesight, right?
No.
And that is because the last name La Rochefoucauld is quite literally French nobility dating back over 1,000 years. This guy grew up in a...
Okay. So we've had Jake McNeese, who came from poor upbringing, jump into France, wreck house, and eat some eggs. Now let's see how a French blue blood does.
Mansion right next to the Eiffel Tower and spent his summer times going off to grandma's house. And when I say grandma's house, what I really mean is grandma's castle that had 30...
That looks... I would love to go to, like, Europe and whatnot, and this is what I want to see. I don't want to see, like, London. I don't want to see Paris. I want to go on the outskirts, look at the old, rich history. Hopefully, certain demographics don't destroy that rich cultural history.
Bedrooms. How did he get to grandma's house every summer? Great question. He took the family's private luxury train.
Christina
Homie did not have a normal life, okay? He was going to fancy private schools, had everything served to him on a silver platter, literally learned 3 languages by the time he was 18. That being said, I hate that's one argument. I hate. I don't have a helmet, but I can go, fuh! People in the past weren't as smart as we are, fuh! Like he does. But that's David. The people in the past are dumb. But it's like, yeah, most of our founding fathers knew Latin, French, and English. And Spanish. It's like, no. Do need to understand the culture of the broader society that he grew up in. While he individually may have been living in a life of luxury, the rest of France was still rebuilding its country after World War I. During World War I, France lost approximately 20% of its male population between the ages of 18 and 50. Literally think of 5 men you know, and then imagine if one of them died, and then extrapolate that out through the entire country you live in. This obviously has enormous ramifications for the entire country and culture, and leads to quite a bit of animosity towards Germany. Because of
True, and that's probably also why each family's having like 10 plus kids. Gotta get those numbers back up.
That in the La Rochefoucauld household, they were not allowed to have any products that were made in Germany, and despite the fact that he had learned 3 languages, he was not allowed to learn German because, as his mother said, he was not allowed to practice such an indelicate tongue. On top of that, his father served in World War I and was injured and had to use a cane for the rest of his life. So there was a lot of animosity.
Yeah, that would do it. That definitely would do it.
Towards Germany in the broader French culture, as well as in his household specifically. And that animosity got cranked up to about 1,000 when he was 16 years old and Germany invaded France. When Germany
went full Germany, yep.
Invaded France, Paris was considered an open city, which basically meant we don't want you to destroy the entire city. There's a lot of history there. There's a lot of people there. So we're just not going to defend it. You can roll in, occupy, seize that territory, and we're not going to put up much of a fight, which is exactly what happened. And within days of
I will at least say that's one thing that the German did back then is they didn't destroy art and history.
Germany occupying Paris, they started rounding up people they thought could potentially become an issue, and one of the people that came to mind was Robert's dad, who was a World War I veteran and French nobleman that was obviously loyal to France, so they threw him in prison. Because of
Okay, at least it's just prison. They didn't just take him out outright.
this, Robert, his mother, and his siblings all fled to Grandma's castle.
We make for the refuge of Helm's Deep.
While there, he began listening to the radio where Charles de Gaulle was speaking. Charles de Gaulle was a general in the French military that, after France fell, fled to the UK, and he was basically declared the leader of Free France and was going on the radio every day, encouraging the French to fight and advocating for France to fight back and reclaim their home. And being
Which is all good and dandy, but he's doing it from the safety of the UK. He ain't putting his life at risk.
a 16-year-old teenager who had a ton of pride in his home country of France and grew up in this family of nobility with all these famous great men that came before him that did incredible things for the country, growing up in a society that already didn't really like Germany, not liking Germany himself, and having them roll in and imprison his father, naturally he ate that shit up. And it gets even worse when the
You look at the angry mustache man, and that's kind of a lot what happened with him, except in reverse. He didn't like the country he was living. He lived in Austria. He was very pro-Germany. He's very against his father, who was pro-Austria. So yeah, so it happens.
situation in Paris stabilizes, so him and his mom and his siblings go back home and find out that Nazis have occupied their house. Upon their arrival, the Germans agree to let them live in the house, but they're still gonna live in the house too. So now he is quite literally a 16-year-old who does not like Nazis that is being forced to be a roommate with a bunch of Nazis.
Also, but depending on the age of his sister, that raises a bunch of other issues.
Continue.
From the ages of 16 to 19, he is living at home, finishing up high school, starting to go to college, and he is being a roommate with the Nazis the entire time. And he absolutely hates it. His mother has to get him to control his temper multiple times. Now, during this 3-year time period, it's weird. There's not a lot militarily going on in France. I mean, there's Nazi soldiers all over the place, but for the most part, they're just like blending into society, and the Nazis are trying to, you know, not be the bad guys, so they're actually being halfway polite to a lot of people. The soldiers
That is something I did hear about, like, the first wave of German soldiers in World War II, especially the ones that went towards Paris and France. They were just loyal to Germany. They didn't really, it wasn't like, they weren't like the ultra bad guys that definitely came later on. They were kind of like, all right, cool, we're going to make things more German. But we kind of like with our neighbors, so let's not be dicks. And then they started being dicks.
are, you know, ordered to give up their seats on trains and buses to elderly women and citizens, and a lot of people are adapting to this new lifestyle of the Germans are just occupying us. But Robert never adapts. He's a rebellious teenager. He keeps listening to Charles de Gaulle on the radio, and he feels a deep dishonor. He feels like he's letting down his country and his family legacy because all of the family members that came before him all went off and they fought for France, and he's a 16, 17, 18, 19-year-old kid that can't do anything about it because nobody else is fighting. And then one day, the mailman that delivers mail to the Gestapo headquarters comes to the La Rochefoucauld household and says, hey, I delivered the mail to this police department and they got a letter. I steamed it open so I could read it to see who they're going to arrest next. And Robert La Rochefoucauld has been reported as being a communist sympathizer and they're going to come arrest him. Now, that's not true.
Yeah, the kid who's been, you know, openly hating them, which, you know, rightfully so, they're going to get rid of him because, you know, royalty family, yeah.
True, but doesn't really matter. The Gestapo thinks it is, and they're going to come arrest him. So at the age of 19, he has to flee. So he gets 2 fake IDs with 2 different names and then alternates which ID he's giving every time he has to show his papers. That way it makes it harder for him to track. He makes his way all the way to Spain where he links up with the resistance, and he tells them that he's actually a French Canadian and he's trying to make his way back to Great Britain so he can keep fighting against the Nazis. Which is brilliant because remember, he's trilingual. He speaks French, English, and Spanish, and this is going to explain his accent to anybody that wonders. So they buy his story, he gets linked up with 2 downed British pilots, and they end up smuggling them back into Great Britain. And he's hoping that once he gets there, he's going to be able to link up with Charles de Gaulle and help fight for France.
Unfortunately, that's not what's going to happen. And this is actually the movie. This is a scene from the movie.
Once he makes his way to Great Britain, he is interrogated by British intelligence pretty rigorously, which is standard procedure, making sure he's not a spy or a double agent or something like that. And they don't torture him, but what they do is they sit him in a room, they interview him, they ask him all their questions. He lies, he says he's 21, he says he's French-Canadian, trying to get his way.
It's distracting. Like, why, Nick? Why is your shoulder so shiny? Did you get more ink done on your shoulder blades?
Into Great Britain, and they end up sitting him in this room for hours on end. They feed him a bunch of tea and then refuse to let him go to the bathroom. And then they go in after hours and interview him again to see if having a full bladder and really having to take a piss is going to change his answer or make him alter his story in any way, which will reveal that he's up to something.
Okay, that's not the worst thing you can do to somebody, but still.
At which point, he basically just comes clean, tells the whole truth. He's 19, his name's Robert La Rochefoucauld, and one of the interviewers recognizes his name as French nobility. At which point, nepotism kicks in. They're like, oh, French nobility is not going to be a spy. Cool.
Oh, yep. No, he's French noble. Why would he turn spy?
Cool, we're going to send in a guy that'll talk to you if you really want to go fight the Germans, and they send in a guy by the name of P.K. Wicks. And he's an officer in the British SOE, the Special Operations Executive, that Winston Churchill created to, quote, set Europe ablaze. He also gave them the name the Ministry of Ungentlemanly Warfare.
Again, this is the movie. He's supposed to be Swedish. So this must have been happened after this movie.
Guilty as charged.
Basically, these guys are the inspiration for 007. P.K. Wicks.
Hold on.
Charged.
This character, this guy right here, he's actually the inspiration for 007. His name was, give me a second. Ministry of General Warfare. Gus Murch Phillips, which that's actually Henry Cavill. I don't want Henry Cavill. I want the guy who's playing. Which is funny because he does a good British accent there. Yeah. Not let me. Just Marsh Phillips, yeah. He's the guy that was basically 007 incarnate.
Basically, these guys are the inspiration for 007. P.K. Wicks comes to him. He's like, hey, you're French nobility. We want you. If you'll have you, here's the thing. You got to pass this super rigorous training. But if you pass, we'll jump your ass back into France and you can take the fight to the Germans. Robert is immediately interested because he really wants to fight the
He's like, finally, somebody who understands what I want to do.
Germans, but he still wants to talk to General de Gaulle first to figure out if there's something more he could be doing. So P.K. Wicks organizes a meeting between Robert La Rochefoucauld and General de Gaulle. They have a meeting. We don't really know what's said, but when he comes out of the meeting, he agrees that he's going to try to be part of the British SOE. From here, they ship him off to training. In the first 3 weeks, his basic training is basically one giant smoke session, running, push-ups, beating these guys up, making them swim when they're tired, making them cold, making them hot, trying to weed out all the weak people. Robert makes it through. After that,
Understandable. Standard special forces sounding training.
That potential SOE operatives are sorted into 3 different categories. You've got your general spies, your communication experts, and your saboteurs, your demolition men.
What
Again, understandable.
makes me a good demo man? If I were a bad demo man, I wouldn't be sitting here discussing it with you now, would I?
From here,
No, it's very plausible.
he learns everything about sabotage. He not only learns how to make bombs, but more importantly, how to utilize those bombs to be most effective. He learns where to put them on a bridge to destabilize the entire structure. If he's going to take out a factory, he learns
This is, if I had to guess, if going back to the Ministry on Ungentlemanly Warfare, Freddy Alvarez is the only character who wasn't actually based on a real person, if I remember correctly. But he could technically have been based off LaRoche. Just LaRoche wasn't there.
How to identify the most important components of the factory to take that factory out of commission for as long as possible. He learns that you shouldn't just attack power lines, you should attack the transformers that feed them because that's what's going to take longer to replace. He learns that you shouldn't just target a railroad or a train, you should also take out all the cranes and heavy equipment that's going to be needed to clear that wreckage to repair it as well.
That's smart. That's actually really smart. That's things that a lot of people wouldn't think of. Like, haha, I took out the power line. Oh, they just put a new pole in. I took out the power surge thing. Yes.
After that, he learns how to be a paratrooper, and then the real spy training starts.
You know what, sir? I can't say that I am shocked because I felt very good about this year's test.
The SOE brings in a guy by the name of Eric Sykes, who's regarded as like one of the best combat shooters in the world.
That name does sound familiar.
Going to teach these guys how to use guns in actual combat, not just go set out on a range and shoot at a static target. He's going to put them through full-on shoot house training, and he's going to learn from the best. After that, they bring in Eric Fairbairn, who's one of, if not the best hand-to-hand combat experts at this point in time in the entire world. This guy was former British military, and then after that went off and became a cop in Shanghai, which was one of the most violent cities in the world at this point in time.
Also is very much a country that did not have firearms. Which, you remember the video with the Boxer Rebellion guy, I can't remember his name. They would fight with mostly hands. And
while he was there, he was jumped by a gang and stabbed 12 times.
Just a flesh wound.
Somehow he managed to survive and then decided that shit's never going to happen again and decided he was going to learn every single martial art that he could. This guy studied jiu-jitsu, became a second-degree black belt in judo, studied boxing, kickboxing.
Let's say jiu-jitsu, then you had judo. So I have a way to taking you to the ground. I have a way to controlling you when you're down. Then you had kickboxing, which is going to really give him really good kicks. We had in traditional boxing, which is still the best for actually throwing hands.
Savate, wrestling, knife fighting, and anything else he could get his hands on. While he was still being a cop in Shanghai, his official police record logs over 600 real-world fights, and he helped found the first ever SWAT team in world history. So between
Okay, yeah, I think that's the right guy to go to.
Sykes and Fairbairn, they basically turn him into John Wick in a fighting system that they refer to as gutter fighting.
Holy shit. I think he likes it. How about some more? Hell yes.
From here, he has his final test, and the final test is they are going to yeet him out the back of a plane in a parachute with no map, no compass, no equipment, somewhere in the UK, and he has to make his way all the way back to SOE headquarters without being captured by the police. And they have notified the police that they need to track his ass down. Now,
But I'll say, do the police know that he has to get him? Answer that question. Yes. So that's going to be tough.
Luckily, they do it in pairs, so he has a teammate that's going to be able to help him out. Unfortunately, his teammate breaks his ankle as soon as he jumps out of the plane. So Robert,
having a teammate, it's good. You can then sleep in shifts if need be. But a teammate could also have you exposed.
is like, fuck it, we ball, goes, steals a military truck, drives it back, picks up his teammate, and drives them straight back to SOE headquarters, and he's back the next day by like lunch, breaking the course record by a ridiculous amount of time. At which point the chain of command is like, that was super, super illegal, but also the exact kind of...
You've broken many laws. This is exactly what we're looking for. It is the scene from Ungentlemanly Warfare. It's like, how many fights have you been in? None, so. Rejected. How many women you've slept with? 13.
Ungentlemanly.
Oh, yeah, you watch this show. It's a great show. SE is like, Rogue Heroes. Rogue Hero. SAS Rogue Heroes. Great show.
Shit we're looking for, you're in. Out of his class of 30 men, only 7 of them graduated, and he's one of them. All right, summer 1943. Since Robert has left France, things have changed a lot. When he left, you had the German-occupied section of France, and then you had Free France or Vichy France, which was still kind of under Germany's control, but they were putting on the illusion that France still kind of existed as its own sovereign nation. And
yeah, I remember it was, I think it was oversimplified. They wanted to make it seem like France just completely switched sides to the Germans.
That was a big part of the reason when Robert was in France that people weren't as willing to fight, because there was still technically France as a sovereign nation, so to speak. But by the summer of 1943, that has changed as World War II is ramped up. The Nazis now occupy all of France. In addition to that, they are also forcing French people to work inside of factories, even sending some of them into Germany to work in their factories to aid with the war effort. Obviously, because of this, an enormous amount of the
It looks like the lighting got different, but yeah, no, like, oh yeah, they're just being here. Yes, they're like the police, just dicks. Now they're just full on, Germans.
French population
I'm trying to avoid saying the word just for safety. I don't know why. They went full Nazi.
is pissed off, so that means that a bunch more of them are going to be willing to either A, help the resistance, or B, join the resistance themselves. The obvious problem, they don't have guns and they don't know what they're doing, and that is where Robert comes in. British SOE is linked up with the French resistance and told them they are going to be airdropping in an expert, and he is going to come with a bunch of guns and plastic explosives that he's going to distribute out to the French resistance, and then he's going to provide training and help them go out and sabotage the Germans.
This might be season 2 of SES Rogue Heroes. I remember this.
In 1943, he boards a plane headed off towards Nazi-occupied France. He is going to get dropped off at a certain zone, and the French resistance is going to be there waiting for him. On the way there, the plane gets lit up by German anti-aircraft fire. Luckily, they manage to limp the plane to the right drop zone. Robert jumps out. They throw out all the crates of guns and plastic explosives behind him, and then they take off. Robert never finds out what actually happened to that plane. So Robert hits the ground. French resistance.
We like to believe it made it back. We like to believe the people made it ba's alive. The plane's gonna be replaced.
Runs out, they meet up with him. He's like, hey, we got lit up by the Germans. The Germans know that we're doing something here. We got to get all this shit on the trucks and dip, which is exactly what they do. Now, initially, Robert has some difficulties with the French resistance because they said that they were going to be parachuting in some badass expert, and then a 19-year-old kid shows up getting thrown out of a plane, and he's talking to a bunch of French resistance fighters that are, normal dudes in their 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, and now they're taking orders from some 19-year-old kid, but his...
Also, it's a 19-year-old rich kid from Paris who, if they know, lived with Nazis for a bit.
Skills spoke for themselves, and they eventually ended up having a huge amount of respect for him, and he gained a ton of notoriety throughout all of France. For about the next 5 months, he trained dozens of French resistance fighters in how to be saboteurs, using guns, using plastic explosives, as well as carrying out sabotage missions himself. During this time, they took out a ton of rail lines, they took out a power plant, and they took out a repair yard for German heavy equipment. So,
Ooh, the repair yard is the big one right there. That's the big one.
things are going really well for about 5 months, but then obviously as the French resistance continues to get bigger and continues to get more effective,
that's the issue. It's guerrilla warfare. It works in pockets.
Nazis are going to react, and they start sending in more secret police, and they actually have these secret police go in and start joining the French resistance so they can figure out who's who, and then they start arresting everybody. And by November of 1943, it gets to the point that they are capturing a ton of people, so a lot of the French resistance fighters, Robert included, all just kind of have to lay low for a while. So he goes out in the country, finds an abandoned barn, and he's just living inside of this abandoned barn, trying to go unnoticed by absolutely everyone. Robert is especially scared of getting captured because by this point in the war, the Germans somehow have figured out that the British SOE, the Ministry of Ungentlemanly Warfare, exists, and Hitler has signed the order that they are to be killed on sight. Now,
oh, yep. Rogue Hero Season 2. So I remember they told Patty Mayne that they want everybody in their uniform. That way, knowing this, if they do it, it's a complete war crime and they can be held to the highest end of the law.
technically that is a war crime, but the Germans argued that because they were operating in civilian clothing in German-occupied territory, they were an illegal combatant, so they were allowed to kill them. On top of that, the Germans aren't super renowned for caring about war crimes in the first place. So Robert is laying...
True, like I said, it's one of the things where if they would have won, that the war crimes wouldn't have mattered.
Low inside of this abandoned barn out in the country for about a month. It's just long day after long day, waiting, and then one day on December 7th, 1943, a bunch of cop cars pull up to the barn. They go inside the barn, they arrest Robert. Robert tries to feed him a line of bullshit like, oh, I'm just, some homeless guy that's traveling. I got tired. I pulled over in this barn to take a nap. The Germans then search the barn, find a bunch of plastic explosives and submachine guns, and he's like, those aren't mine. Obviously, they don't believe him.
Yeah. Oh, you wanted the Austin Powers line? Good one.
I don't even know what this is. This sort of thing ain't my bag, baby.
One book, Swedish-made penis enlarger pumps and me. This sort of thing is my bag, baby.
At this point, Robert is like, okay, well, I'm dead. I'm about to get shot in this barn right now because I'm British SOE. But that's not what they do.
He could just kept playing up the French resistance card.
Handcuff him, they throw him in a car, and they start taking him off to prison. And the entire car ride there, he's like, why didn't they just kill me? What is going to happen next? Oh, they're probably going to torture me and then kill me. Great. And he's like trying to figure out why they didn't kill him right there on the spot, like they had orders to do.
Like I said, I have a move. The Rogue Heroes SAS. There is a scene where a guy does get captured. He thinks he's going to die. They take him to meet a general, and the general doesn't want to do it. And he says, like, I'm probably going to end up dying because of the fact that I didn't kill you or unalive you.
When it dawns on him, they probably didn't do it because he speaks fluent French, doesn't have an accent, and the dude kind of looks French. His family's been there for 1,000 years, so they didn't just instinctively think that he was British SOE. Realizing this, when he gets to the prison, for the first and only time during his operational career, he actually gives the Germans his real name because La Rochefoucauld, super French name that's well known, and then that's going to add to, oh, he's just French resistance, he's not
True.
British SOE, so at least he won't get executed immediately. From here, he gets thrown in solitary confinement for a couple of days. Obviously, they're trying to soften him up before they interrogate him, but he's already been in solitary confinement for like the past month inside of a barn, so it doesn't really affect him.
Boy, they went all out on this one, huh?
From here,
Yeah, that's a good point. If he's been a month just by himself waiting for things to pass. Oh God, you put me into a different one. Ooh.
Take him in, they interrogate him. It becomes pretty obvious to Robert that they think he's a communist, so he kind of like goes along with it, not by saying that he is a communist, but by refusing to admit that he's a communist, trying to get the Germans to prove it, and then that way it kind of like gives them tunnel vision that they're trying to prove that this guy's a communist. Basically, he's doing anything and everything he can to not get identified as British SOE.
Which, yeah, that's a good way of doing it, but yeah, the Nazis didn't like the communists as, like, it's hilarious. It's like one of the things where, like, the mustache man was just like, I'm going to use you to kickstart this, but he would take one of them all gone.
After the initial interrogations, they throw him into a normal cell, and he has a cellmate with him, and within being in the room with the cellmate for like 20 minutes, the guy has an epileptic seizure, falls onto the ground. 2 guards rush in, they start freaking out, they don't know what to do. Robert's just kind of sitting on the bed watching this whole thing go down. The 2 guards are helping the guy having the seizure. The door is wide open, and he's just like, huh. They end up taking the guy to the infirmary. Robert never sees him again. From here, they start interrogating Robert every day for multiple hours a day. And when I say interrogating, I mean torturing. Now, we don't know exactly what Robert himself was subjected to, but we do know the methods that were being used in this prison at this time period. Those included waterboarding, getting beaten with bats, having your testicles shocked, having the soles of your feet cut open and being forced to walk on salt, the pulling out of teeth, the pulling out of fingernails, and there's even a couple accounts of prisoners being forced or strapped down over a toilet that was full of starving rats. And this goes on.
I was going to write no on all of it.
On every day for months, Robert never says shit, or at least never says anything true or that's actually helpful to the Nazis. He keeps leaning back on his training. He keeps getting angry at the torturer. He's yelling at the guy. He's just making it not fun. You know what I mean? I've never tortured anybody, don't really want to, but I would imagine if you've tortured 100 people and they're all, begging you to stop and crying and being sad, and you've got one guy that's yelling at you being a dick, it probably makes it a little bit less fun.
Where did you get those relics from? The Ferran's garage sale?
I was basically waiting for this clip to show up. This is one of those clips that's like, oh,
I don't even think you want to be tortured.
I don't want to be tortured.
You're just like taking all the fun out of it.
During this entire time period, the only good thing that happens is, for some reason, I have no idea why, the Germans are still allowing the prisoners to receive mail. And there's somebody from inside the local community that is sending in care packages to just random people. And Robert keeps getting these care packages with like chocolate and food and bread and shit. And that's what keeps him going. Other than
As one good person, like, you know what? They deserve chocolate. I'm going to send them chocolate.
that, it's just day after day of getting tortured for hours upon hours. And this goes on for months. December, January, February. By March, he's really starting to lose hope. He still has his cyanide pill hidden on him, and he's really starting to think about using it. And then on March 7th, he ends up getting pulled from his cell and sent into a tribunal, basically a kangaroo court, where he is going to go on trial for his crimes. So Robert finds out he's going on trial. He's like getting ready to argue, getting his story straight that he was just some random dude passing by. He had no idea that there were weapons inside the barn. He goes inside this military tribunal, doesn't really even get to say anything. They're just like, yep, he's guilty, sentence him to death on the spot. They take him out, they load him in the back of a truck, and the truck takes off. So Robert is now in the back of a truck, moving down the road with a couple of other prisoners, a couple of other guards. He has no idea where they're going, but he knows what happens when they get there.
Yeah, and now it's the quick question mark of, what can I do to not get there?
They're gonna kill him. Now remember, the Germans never figured out that he was SOE. They have no idea that he's been trained to, I don't know, kill people with his bare hands or any number of other things. So they just
Oh, did they think because he was been tortured for so long that he didn't have strength, so they didn't even handcuff him?
decided that he was just some other French guy that they'd tortured for 4 months and is probably broken, so they didn't bother to throw him in the truck with handcuffs, just like any other type of prisoner. So Robert...
Facepalm, 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 facepalm. Yep. Always lock up your prisoners.
hits one of the guards and jumps out of the back of this moving truck, tucks and rolls, and takes off running as fast as he can. The other guard stands up, starts shooting at Robert, but only for a second, because after the first couple of bullets, which missed, the driver ends up slamming on the brakes because he hears gunfire, not knowing what's going on, ends up knocking the guard down, and it gives Robert enough time to make it to the corner and turn it so he's not in their direct line of sight. From here, he just keeps running as fast as he can, taking every single corner, every back alley, trying to lose the Germans. After a couple miles, he hasn't heard the truck behind him in a while, and he's finally starting to think to himself, okay, cool, I managed to lose that truck.
Never think that. Never think that. Another bad thing.
He turns one more corner and runs smack dab into a Nazi headquarters building.
Nazis. I hate these guys.
At this point, he's like, fuck, what do I do? Because if I turn around and run the other way, that's going to look suspicious. There's guards in front of this place. Okay, I'm just going to play it cool. Stops running, starts walking, acting and pretending like he's supposed to be there. The problem is he's still wearing his clothes from 4 months ago when he was captured. He's got a beard. He looks like shit. He smells terrible. Whatever, we just got to roll with it. And he keeps walking towards this Nazi headquarters building and goes to walk right past it. And right at the main gate, there's this big fancy Nazi limo with little Nazi swastika flags on the side, and he kind of looks inside of it. There's keys inside the limo, looks across the street. The driver is clearly waiting for somebody, smoking a cigarette right across from the limo, and he's...
Did he steal the car? Oh my god. Where's this man's movie? France. France. Why have we not had this guy's movie?
It's like, fuck it, jumps in the limo, turns the key, peels out.
What goes around comes around.
Rat Race. Good movie. Good movie. Yeah, there's a Jewish family that stole Hitler's car.
The driver across the street pulls out a pistol, starts shooting at the car, doesn't do any real damage. He turns a corner. He's doing the same thing now, but inside of a car, just speeding off, taking corner after corner, not knowing where to go, not knowing what to do. And then he sees a sign, Paris, that way. And he's like, okay, well, at least I know people in Paris. So that's where he goes. Makes it to the outskirts of town, runs face first into a Nazi checkpoint. Again, can't just, turn around and try a different route because that's going to look suspicious, especially if they've already radioed to look out for this car that he just stole. So he just kind of joins the queue. He gets in line with all the other cars waiting to get their papers checked and get waved through, and he just waits and he waits, and then he's up next. The Germans start walking up. There's no cars in front of him. He just floors it and drives through the barricade. The Germans start...
So they're basically just like, you know what? Let's not play this smart.
shooting up the car. They hit the car a ton, but luckily they don't hit him. From here, he drives the car as far and as fast as he can until there's black smoke just coming out of the hood of this car. And he's like, okay, gotta ditch this thing. Finds an abandoned quarry, drives it into the abandoned quarry off of a cliff. It explodes, and now he's just out in the middle of nowhere with absolutely nothing. And from
True, but if he shaves and changes his clothes, he's a completely different person.
here, he does the exact opposite of what you would expect him to do. He goes out into the woods, sleeps overnight, and then in the morning, walks back into the same town that he just escaped. And his logic was the Germans last saw him heading as fast as he could out of town. They're probably not going to be looking for him too hard inside of town, so that's exactly where he goes. And
Good logic, good logic. And like I said, if he shaves and is clean, he now has a different look.
he decides he's going to go to the only place he knows where somebody kind of sort of might actually like him, and he goes to the return address that was on all those care packages that he got when he was in prison. It ends up being a Nazi-occupied hotel, and the guy that was sending all the packages is the guy that runs the hotel. So he goes there, that guy takes him in, gets him cleaned up, feeds him, lets him stay there for a couple of days while he gets him fake papers, and then he smuggles him out of town in the back of his truck in a giant pile of hay. And
Oh, big round of applause for the hotel owner. He's like, oh, you escaped that hellhole. I was a positive influence. Yes. They're looking for a very bearded man who smells bad. Let's make you less look like Rasputin.
as they go through the Nazi checkpoint, the guy's like, oh, I'm just, I run the hotel in town. All the Nazis know who this guy is. He runs the Nazi hotel. He's like, I'm going to feed all this hay to my sheep. The Germans go in, they stab the hay pile with bayonets, somehow missing La Rochefoucauld every single time, and then they make it out of town. They go to the next town over, go to the train station, uses his fake papers to get on a train headed towards Paris. Once he gets on the train, he's sitting in the back and he can see Nazis coming through inspecting everybody's papers. And he's like, oh, shit. And he's like, okay, well, I've got fake papers, but I don't know how good these fake papers actually are. They were good enough to get past.
And so it's like, also, how much information does he know about his fake paper? It's like, you give me fake papers and it's like, my name is Pierre Robert. Rest in peace, Pierre Robert. I'm just using you as my example. He was a local radio guy out of Philly that I used to listen to. Great guy. I was born August 16th, but I don't remember that. They're like, oh, what's your birthday? Oh, April 15th. It says here, August 18th. Shit.
The guy running the train station, but he's not a soldier clearly looking for somebody. And if these guys find out my papers are fake, it's game over. So he gets up, goes to the bathroom, crams himself into the little cabinet underneath the sink, and stays there for the entire train ride back to Paris. Once he gets back to Paris, he goes to his aunt and his uncle's house. They're happy to see him. They feed him, they clothe him, they get him everything he needs for a couple of days. He links back up with the French resistance.
Man, his feet probably were all jacked up because you figure they cut it feet open and work on salt.
They get a message over to British SOE, and a couple of days after that, he gets extracted via either submarine or gunboat, depending on which source you want to read. Makes it back to Great Britain, gets interrogated all over again, making sure that he didn't get turned into a double agent, and from there, he gets to spend some time recovering from getting tortured and starved for 4 months straight.
Woo! All right, good. Get our man a freaking rest. Get him laid. He deserved it.
All right, spring 1944, he's recovered. Things are starting to ramp up for D-Day, and he volunteers to jump back into France to help set the stage for D-Day. Same thing happens all over again. This time he jumps into Britannia right along the Atlantic coast, and he just goes in, meets up with all the resistance, starts training as many guys as he can, distributes all the supplies that he has, and goes out on missions, sabotaging rail lines, electrical plants, everything and anything that he can find to slow the Germans down for when D-Day comes. And
also, you probably realize that D-Day is France's last great hope of, freedom.
Again, the same exact thing happens. He's there for like 2-3 months, and then the Germans start realizing that the French resistance has suddenly gotten way more effective. So they start sending in a bunch of more people to break up the French resistance. And he's like, I'm not getting fucking captured again. I've made it this far without getting captured. I did a bunch of damage. He calls in, gets extracted, makes his way back to Great Britain.
See, that's smart. Okay, the first time we got caught because we waited too long. This time, let's just get in and get out.
That's all, folks.
Spicy baguette.
All right, April 29th, 1944, the British launch a massive bombing campaign on a French munitions factory that is building ammo for the Nazis, and they bomb the holy hell out of it, but it's only down for about a week before they start producing ammunition again. At this point, the British are like, okay, a couple of options. We could bomb it again. I mean, bombs are effective, but they're not like pinpoint accurate. We're not going to be able to go in there, find out where the most important parts of this factory are, and target.
Yeah, they don't know where the gunpowder is. They can hit the gunpowder. It's game over for that factory, but
Get those specifically. We're just kind of like trying to blow the whole thing to hell. But the downside is it's really risky. You're putting all the planes, all the soldiers' lives at risk. It's a big deal. So we could also just have a saboteur go in there, pinpoint a couple of things, and take this factory out of commission. And that's what they decide to do. They call up La Rochefoucauld. He jumps back into France, and now he is tasked with taking out this munitions plant. Only problem, it's not the French resistance waiting for him at the drop zone. Somehow, it's the Germans. They ambush him and capture him almost immediately.
Again.
They throw him in the truck, take him to some house, they start interrogating him. After a little while, he hears a bunch of trucks pull up outside, and he's like, oh great, the Nazis are here to take me to the real prison where I'm gonna get tortured all over again. And then...
this guy just got healthy. My feet feel fine. Damn it.
The whole house just starts getting lit up with machine gun fire. He hits the deck. Dudes come in with guns, kill all the Germans. It was the French resistance that was supposed to meet him there originally. They went out there, got the guns, came back for him, and then killed all the Nazis.
Well done. Well done. That is definitely the way to do it. Oh, we got all the guns and ammunition. Where's the guy? Damn it, let's go get the guy.
At which point he's like, great, perfect, wonderful. Okay, now back to this munitions plant. He links up with the resistance. They start talking it. They case the place. This munitions plant is absolutely massive. Every single worker that goes in there has their papers checked going in and coming out every single day. This is not going to be easy. He has to figure out how to get fake papers for this plant. He has to figure out how he's going to smuggle in all the explosives, and he's going to have to figure out how he's going to get out once the explosives go off. So they go out, they end up finding a bunch of the maintenance crew for this factory and convince them to help them. They use those guys as actual IDs to make...
Yeah, the maintenance guy's like, oh, sweet, yes, I'll take a vacation.
Make fake IDs for Robert and like 4 other resistance fighters. Then, using Robert's knowledge of how to sabotage stuff and the maintenance guy's knowledge of how the factory actually works and what's important, they come together and figure out which targets they're going to hit, mainly water mains and electrical rooms. Then they got to...
I still go after the stockpile of gunpowder.
Figure out how they're going to get the explosives inside the factory. So they hollow out their shoes and they're going to smuggle explosives in their shoes. So
my one manager wears lifts, and the one cashier there, she also wears lifted shoes. So yeah, if you have listed that you're 6 foot and really you're 5'6", there's some room right there.
They load their shoes up with explosives. Next day, they show up to work. They all kind of stagger throughout this line. And like I said, this factory is huge. There's over 5,000 employees, right?
Damn.
And there's only like one checkpoint. So the dude that's checking papers is not like heavily scrutinizing. He's like, good, go, good.
Sounds like Eddie VR when he first started playing Are You My Neighbor?
Go, good, go.
The photo match, the ID, you're good.
It's not real in-depth. Robert didn't realize that. He gets to walk right through. They get inside, they actually go to work. They work a full shift. At some point during the day, they go to the bathroom, hollow out their shoes, get all the explosives out of it, and then go stash it somewhere inside the place. And then tomorrow, they're gonna come back and do it all over again. After that, they finish working their shift, quitting time, the horn blows, they all go home, they go back to the hideout, they have a big party because the plan is working. But Robert is like, okay, these guys aren't checking us that heavily, and I wanna hurry this shit up and blow up this munition plant because every day we're making more ammo. You know, we need to stop that. That's the whole point of the mission. So he needs to figure out how to get more explosives in every single day because at this rate, it's going to take forever. So he figures the only thing you're really allowed to bring into this factory is your lunch. So we need to figure out how to get more plastic explosives inside of our lunch boxes. It's
oh, the spicy baguette, the hard bread, just cut the bottom half of the bread, hollow it out from the inside. You can stuff everything inside of it. Oh, it's so smart.
Literally the opposite of the Johnny Cash song where he steals a Cadillac one piece at a time and it didn't cost him a dime, except now Robert is smuggling in plastic explosives to blow up the entire factory. So what he does is he goes down to the grocery store, buys a baguette, a loaf of bread, cuts the end off, gets a spoon, hollows out the entire loaf of bread, and just ass packs this baguette full of C4. Go back to work the next day, guy checks the papers, looks in the lunchbox. Oh shit, he's got a baguette. This is France. That's normal. Go go ahead and go right in. And then there's 5 other guys also bringing a fucking loaf of C4. After 7 days, they managed to...
Let's say it's a smart call, because even if they grabbed it, the feel, baguettes are hard. It's like a hard surface, so it is a good bread to assault somebody with.
to smuggle in 40 pounds of C4.
Oh, sourdough.
We love hot bread. We love a good hot bread.
After that, we're ready to blow up this plant. So here's the plan. Everybody's going to go to work as normal. We're going to bring even more C4. And then at the end of the day, factory closes at 7 o'clock. At 6:30, Robert's going to slip away. He's going to go out to the fuel warehouse and he's going to rig up the fuel warehouse to explode with a massive chunk of C4. And it's going to be on a 1-hour time delay. Then Robert's going to hide till 7 o'clock when everybody else, including the other 4 resistance guys, are all going to leave. And Robert's going to run around the factory. He's got 30 minutes to place all the rest of his charges. He's going to blow up.
Yeah, that's actually a smart way of doing it. Instead of having 4 people vanish, right? 1,000 people would still make it weird, but all that, so.
The water main, the main power lines, and all the railroads coming in and out of the factory. The 4 resistance guys that already left are going to grab their bikes and Robert's bike, and they're going to pedal around the backside of the factory and wait by the 18-foot high wall on the outside with a rope. Then after Robert places his charges, he's going to jump out of a window, run across the courtyard at the wall, yell over to him. They're going to throw the rope over. He's going to scale the wall, and they're going to pedal off on bikes, which is...
It actually sounds like a pretty solid plan. As long as the guys on bikes don't get caught.
That's exactly what happens. They make it about 4 blocks away from the factory before there's a massive chain of explosions, and then they make it back to the safe house, have a humongous party, and get completely shit-faced. From here...
Well done, well done.
Robert radios over to British SOE, says mission successful. They radio back a single word, congratulations. That munitions factory was then out of commission for 15 days straight, and it's unclear
only 15 days? I thought it'd be way more than that.
How effective they were after they did start manufacturing more stuff at the location. Buh! It was only out of commission for 2 weeks. I don't know why you're making such a big deal about it. Like, that's a huge deal. Buh! Okay,
No, you gotta think of, that's 15 days that you had a bunch of people. Now, so 15 days, you figure how much they actually producing per day if they're just making ammo. And the railroads. So, yes, it took 15 days to get the factory up and operational, but how many days did it take to get everything else up and running?
First of all, when you're playing Who's Got More Bullets with America and your factory goes down for 2 weeks...
I forgot the America infrastructure factor.
Great, it's a fucking problem, okay? Second of all, a British Lancaster bombing formation only managed to put this factory out of commission for 7 days, and Robert La Rochefoucauld went in there with a loaf of bread and did twice as much damage, okay? That's gangster as fuck. Sorry.
Yes.
Anyways, from here, Robert's just pretty much waiting to get extracted. He needs to get the orders of when and where to meet for his extraction, so he's hanging out at the safe house for a couple of days. The orders finally come down. Hey, tomorrow night, we need you to meet us in this next town over at this location. So he spends the next day memorizing the exact route he's going to take, and he's going to ride his bike there at night in pitch darkness. So he wants to memorize the route so he knows every little curve of the road so he can ride there in the dark.
Oh, he's going nighttime Tour de France on us. Yes, I watched the Tour de France. It's entertaining and also very beautiful.
That's exactly what he does. Starts riding his bike. It's pitch black out. Can't really see shit. He hears a car coming up behind him, jumps in the ditch, waits for the car to pass by, comes back out, makes it a couple more miles. Another car coming, jumps in the ditch, hides, waits for the car to pass by, comes back out, riding his bike in the dark, can't see anything, and then all of a sudden, he just runs into something. And it's a German checkpoint. He literally rode right into it because, well, that wasn't on the map.
And probably wasn't well lit.
Now, the Germans have him at gunpoint, and there's a curfew, and he's not supposed to be out at this hour, so they start asking him questions. They're like, hey, what the fuck are you doing? And
Oh, please tell me he was off on a booty call. He was trying to get some, or he was getting booty, and he's trying to get back before his wife realizes. That would be the story I would believe.
He's like, and here is where being in the military from the age of 19 really shoots him in the foot. Okay, you gotta realize, Robert is like 21 years old right now, but he's had a really weird life between the ages of 16 and 21. Everything after the age of 16 has been like building up to do 007 type shit. So in a lot of ways, socially speaking, he's still a 16-year-old. So when he's asked, what are you doing out past curfew? The 16-year-old social skills kick in and he's like, I was out in the woods making love to my girlfriend.
Close. I said, you were in the town, you're trying to get back so you don't get caught.
Okay, now for a 16-year-old boy making out with his girlfriend in the woods, great excuse. Highly probable, definitely what's going on here. For a 21-year-old man that just got done working at a factory, not a great excuse. German guard says, and I quote, "Why don't you fuck your girlfriend at home?" To which Robert is like,
See, this is why, I said he's like, I was on a booty call. I'm trying to get back before anybody realizes it. Makes more sense.
From here, they take him to Fort Duas prison, throw him in a cell. He's informed that he's going to start getting interrogated in 2 days when the head of secret police gets back in, and that guy's name is Friedrich Wilhelm Doza. Robert
It's not good when the fat electrician posted a photo of this guy's mugshot.
knows the name because Doza is like one of the best secret police the German has, and he has been responsible for arresting hundreds of French resistance guys. He's always infiltrating the French resistance and breaking them up and arresting everybody. So at this point, Robert's kind of freaking out, like, okay, I might have met my match with this guy. I can't let him know what my real name is. If I give him my real name, he's going to track down my family. He's going to hurt them next. And for the next 2 days, he considers taking his own cyanide pill just so he doesn't accidentally give up his name to protect his family. And really, over the course of this time period, he just comes to accept that, like,
At this point, you have to come up with a full background. Who are you, and why were you there, type thing.
He's gonna die soon, but he can still determine how he dies. So he figures, you know what? I might as well try to escape. If I end up getting killed or if I end up getting recaptured, I'll take the cyanide pill, or they'll kill me when I'm trying to escape. I'm dead either way. I might as well give it a shot. And then
Yeah, why not?
he has an idea. He remembers back to the last time he was held in a prison, and that one guy had an epileptic seizure, and the guards ran in and started helping him. Now, he's in a cell by himself, so he hangs around, he waits till the guard is walking by, and then he has an epileptic seizure. The guard
Not a bad call.
unlocks the door, runs in to help, and then Robert grabs him, throws him on the ground, snaps his neck, and kills him. And here Robert's just kind of like, I just killed a guy.
You should find yourself a safe house or a relative close by. Lay low for a while because you're probably wanted for murder.
And then he kind of like snaps out of it like, okay, gotta move fast, looks for the keys to get off of
Yeah, it's probably the first time he actually took a life.
like the block that he's on. He has keys to his cell, but he doesn't have keys to get out of the section of the prison that he's in, and neither does the guard. So he's like, shit, what do I do now? So he decides that guard's roughly the same size as me, so he strips the
This is from the movie. That's not Pierre. That's Gus. Gus Henry March Phillips. And yes, he does steal the Nazi
guard
coat.
down and puts on the Nazi uniform.
So it's such a great movie.
So now, not only is he dressed like a Nazi, but he also has a pistol. So things are looking better. He's like, okay.
Now I'm definitely the guy they're not looking for. But they probably know their friend.
How do I get keys to get off this cell block? And there's, just a bunch of cells. And then there's like the room that the guards are always going into. So he's like, maybe
If he only spoke German.
the keys are in there. So he walks in his Nazi uniform over to the guards lounge or whatever you want to call it, opens the door. There's 2 guards in there sleeping. So he kind of starts shuffling around looking for keys to get off this cell block. The guards wake up, shoots both the guards, finds the keys, gets off the cell block, walks out the front door of the prison, and goes back to the safe house, does not get caught. From here, he doesn't leave the safe house for like 3 days straight. The Nazis know what he looks like. They have like a hand drawing of his face. They've got wanted posters all over town.
This is where you regrow the beard.
They are looking for this guy. There's no way he's going to be able to get out of this safe house and get to like the next safe house to the next safe house to get to where he can get extracted, because the Nazis are looking at every single checkpoint. They are gonna catch him. After about 3 or 4 days of hanging out at the safe house, waiting for everything to cool down, it's not cooling down. Nobody can come up with a plan on how to smuggle his ass out of here. And then the owner of the safe house is like, I mean, I do have one idea. My sister's a nun and she's a little bit husky. So, I mean, that is an option.
We went Mrs. Doubtfire on him. Nice.
Daniel, hi.
Could you make me a woman?
Okay, hard.
This is why I like the fat electrician. We are the same brand of idiot. He said, well, we could make you look like a nun. I'm like, Mrs. Doubtfire. My brain went auto to Mrs. Doubtfire.
Cut. Robert, with a freshly shaven face, is now walking down the streets of France in a nun outfit, literally waving at Nazis as he walks by, and nobody suspects a thing. Robert
That's a big bitch right there. I still would take her. I like them a little plump.
Makes it all the way to the next safe house, goes up, knocks on the door. A woman answers the door. He knows he's looking for a guy. I don't know his name. Mike, Rob, whatever. So, in a female voice, still trying to, put up the impression that he's a nun, not knowing if this woman's to be trusted or not. He asks if, oh, is Mike here? And
oh, you didn't do a voice like, I'm looking for Robert.
She's like, yeah, I'll go get him. Mike comes to the door, and Mike is like, sees this nun in front of him, and he's like immediately like upset and distraught, and he's like, oh no. Sister, are you going to tell me that he passed away or he was captured? Thinking, because he's been waiting.
Oh, yeah, that's a valid thing. That's a valid point, which says they did a good job disguising him as a woman.
For Robert La Rochefoucauld for like 4 days. He was supposed to be here 4 days ago. So he's thinking in his head, this nun is coming to inform him that his friend that he's been waiting for has passed away or whatever. At which point, Robert, using his man voice, is like, bro, I'm right here.
I wish you just fucked with him.
Can I help you, man?
Oh, sorry I'm late, but after all those scotches, I had to piss like a racehorse.
He goes inside the safe house, tells him the story. The woman that answered the door is actually this guy's wife, tells her the story. They all have a good laugh. From here on out, he's hanging out at this safe house.
She's probably like, well, we could add a few more things to make this better.
So he's hanging out at the safe house for a couple of days, and then a couple more days, and then a couple more days, and the orders for him to get extracted are just not coming through. There's no plans, there's no communication, just nothing. And eventually the owner of the safe house is like, okay, we got to get you somewhere that isn't here, because if the Germans come, you're going to get all of us killed. So
Yeah, it's like, hey, this is a safe house, not a safe home. We need you out.
he ends up organizing for him to go out into the boonies, into this lumberjack camp out in the woods, and he's just going to work there as a lumberjack until the orders come through. So that's what he does. He goes out to this lumberjack camp, and he's being a lumberjack, cutting down trees for weeks, and then weeks turn into a month, and then a month turns into another month, and he's finally like, what the fuck is going on? There's a war going on. I'm supposed to be, doing stuff. I'm out here cutting trees. And he's like, fuck it. I'm just going to go back, rejoin the resistance, and go rogue. So that's what he does.
Not really go rogue, but doing what he was trained to do. If he's not getting the orders to continue, then just do what you were trained to do.
One day he just walks out of the lumberjack camp, goes back into town, links back up with the French resistance group that helped him sabotage the ammunition factory, and just goes absolutely ham. Now, we don't have great documentation on what exactly he was doing, but it's pretty safe to assume he was going out, training more resistance guys, and then leading missions to sabotage stuff that he thought would piss off the Nazis. And like
Especially since he's been there for a while, you might know what it is.
I said, while we don't know exactly what he specifically was up to, we do know that in his general area around this general time period, there was over 100 Nazi rail lines that got sabotaged. We do have
We can kind of say it probably was him.
one specific story that he took the time to write about, though, during this time period. He was working with the French resistance, and they were setting up an ambush for some German soldiers. And during this ambush, there was some type of building that they were in, either like an abandoned factory or a factory, whatever it was. He says he walks into a room, he opens the door, and as he opens the door into this room, it's just a room with a desk in the middle, and straight across from his door was another door. And at the same moment that he walked through his door, a Nazi soldier walked through the other door straight across from him. He immediately draws his pistol, starts firing at the German. The German draws his pistol, starts firing at him. They both mag dump each other, and both of them miss with every fucking shot. At this
Pure stormtrooper energy right there. If they both do that, they better both have laughed. If they start laughing and then go, you want to just walk back out and act like none of this happened?
point, Robert and the Nazi are just looking at each other with empty pistols like,
I'm not sure what to do with my hands.
Be good just to hold him down by your side. Yeah, great.
Like, what is the protocol here? Do I hurry up and try to reload faster than him and then shoot him and hopefully I hit him this time even though I didn't with the last 7 bullets? Or do we just have a fist fight to the death? What's the plan? So Robert and this Nazi are both just kind of looking at each other, probably for like a split second, but I bet it felt like forever. And they're both just like, and they both at the same time turn around and go out the door they came in and shut the door behind him, never go back. Robert never saw.
Yes, thank you. I would have laughed. Like, just looked at him and started laughing and just walked out.
The guy again. So he goes rogue for a couple of months, has a bunch of missions, presumably, does a bunch of stuff, trains a bunch of people, whatever. And then the entire landscape of the French resistance changes. Now, when you talk about the French resistance, a lot of people just assume that it's all the same thing. Like there's just...
No. You figure they can't be too well organized because then it'd be easier to track them all down. So you probably just have like little pockets. It's like when you look at the American Revolution, It's like you had like the Swamp Fox, you had like all the small groups that eventually linked up. But yeah, that's probably what really is what happened.
One organization, one big entity that is the French Resistance, or the Resistance, right? That's really...
It's like the Antifa jackass. You're not organized, but we all are kind of organized.
Not how it worked at all. There was a bunch of different factions of French resistance, and they were all doing different things, and some of them did not like each other and would work against each other. It was kind of a crapshoot. So you had factions of resistance that were loyal to what France used to be. They're essentially loyal to General de Gaulle. They're loyal to Free France. They want things to go back to how they were before the Germans showed up. You also have factions that are communist that want France to get taken over by communists and become a communist nation.
And they're the ones who we really got to watch out for.
And then you have other factions that are like comprised of almost exclusively Jewish people or whatever. So you have all these different...
Yeah, it's probably fair how many people in the resistance was like, well, this is a great time for a great reset. We can be a pure Jewish nation. We can be a purely Protestant nation, a communist nation, a Christian nation, you know, a lot of different things.
Factions with different motives, and they're not always working together. Well, by this point in time, D-Day has happened. Allied forces are here, they're liberating France, and because of this, General de Gaulle comes back, and he basically puts an end to all the resistance that is loyal to him. They're like, okay, we don't need the French resistance anymore. If you want to fight for France, you can quit being part of the resistance, and you can just come join the Free French Army, and you can be directly underneath me. And because obviously...
I still don't like that guy, just for the fact that he bailed on the country. I was just saying, like, haha, do this while I'm safely in another country.
Obviously, La Rochefoucauld is loyal to General de Gaulle. That's exactly what he does. So La Rochefoucauld joins the French army, and the French army is like, okay, we've got this guy that's basically fucking James Bond. He's been doing 007 shit for years. We should probably just give him some orders and cut him loose, or put him in charge of some people and get him into the action, right?
Oh, is this how the French Foreign Legion gets formed? Makes sense.
Obvious thing to do. So naturally, that's what they don't do, because the military is going to military, and they decide that they're going to send him to officer school in the middle of World War II. So they pull him out
I would have liked it better if they started the French Foreign Legion because of this.
of the field, send him to officer training. So Robert hates it, giant waste of his time. He's 21 years old. He's showing up to these officer training classes, getting taught by people that know less about what's going on than he does. They're less capable than he is, but he's, you know, learning from them. So he's basically just shows up, jumps through all the hoops, graduates at the top of his class, and then he goes and joins the French army, and he gets assigned to a commando unit because, well, at least that makes sense.
Yeah, definitely. That at least makes sense. The commandos are basically like ground and pound guys, the Marines, the Army guys.
Now, by this point in the war, Germany is pretty much pulled out of France. The Allies are there, they're retaking France, but there's a couple of locations where they left a bunch of soldiers behind and they were going to try to hold them, mainly submarine bases on the Atlantic coast. The one that we're going to be talking about today is right outside of Bordeaux. These German submarine bases were basically impenetrable. They had bunkers, pillboxes, casemates, hundreds of thousands of mines around them, and then the concrete was so thick they were basically immune to Allied bombing. And Germany
Germany would want to keep that because that's how you slow down the Americans from getting over.
Wanted to keep them running as long as possible because they wanted the U-boats out in the Atlantic harassing Allied shipping, which is going to hamper the entire war effort and make it harder for the Allies to push into Germany. So Robert and the commando unit that he's in have been tasked with taking out this massive sub-base right outside of Bordeaux. And this is called Operation Venerable, and it happens on April 14th, 1945. Now,
I couldn't wait one more day, give my birthday an actual cool-ass story, not freaking tragedy. Honestly, look up some of the stuff that happened on April 15th throughout history. It's devastating. Also, look at the stuff that happened on your birthday on Wikipedia.
Now, like I said, these submarine bases are basically impervious to Allied bombings, or at least conventional Allied bombings. So the
Yeah, go unconventional and ungentlemanly.
Allied forces decided they were going to use a different type of bomb. Napalm, you know, jungle jelly, sweet, sticky fire. If we can't blow...
Oh, goddamn napalm.
Oh, yep, we're just going to slow roast you alive was basically the plan. So they go in, all the commando troops get ready, they get staged, they napalm bomb the holy hell out of this place, and then they're getting ready to launch their attack. They send scouts forward, scouts come back, and the section that the commando unit that Robert is supposed to attack didn't really get hit by napalm. Okay, the problem, this section also has a massive casemate with a humongous gun, you know, like the big tank turret inside the concrete right there, and it's completely unscathed. And if that casemate stays intact and they launch this attack, that casemate casemate is going to take out all the tanks, and then once the tanks are out of play, they're not going to be able to provide cover for all the ground troops, and the ground troops are going to get absolutely mopped by the machine gun bunkers, and it's just going to be one giant meat grinder.
Yeah. No, meat wall tactics do not work in war anymore.
So the captain of this commando unit calls his officers in, Lieutenant La Rochefoucauld included, trying to come up with a plan. To which Robert, hearing the problem, is like, oh, you have a very particular piece of equipment that you need eliminated that's very hard to get to, and you need it done quick, easy, and in a hurry?
What I do have are a very...
Yeah. Robert's like, you guys do realize I was trained by the SAE.
very particular set of skills.
Now the captain is hesitant. He knows about La Rochefoucauld's background, but he's still like, how is one dude gonna go in there and take out this massive casemate by himself? I don't know if it's worth it. To which La Rochefoucauld is basically like, look, I mean, we're gonna get slaughtered tomorrow anyways. If I take me and like 3 other dudes with me and we end up dying on this mission and we fail, is us being at the battlefield tomorrow gonna make the difference on us getting slaughtered now or then? Like, you...
Yeah, it's like, hey, why don't you let me have a chance? Let's throw up a Hail Mary just as a chance.
Might as well let me throw the Hail Mary, and the captain is like,
God damn it, I did not pre-watch this.
Like, you know what? You're right. Fuck it. What do you need? To which Robert is like, okay, here's what I need. I need a rubber boat. I need some volunteers, and I need a loaf of bread. I mean, a bunch of plastic explosives. That night, they take the rubber boat. They paddle around the backside of this submarine base with nothing but a single flashlight to light their way.
Probably even took the flashlight.
About 2 hours to get there. They crawl up the beach. They make it to this massive wall around this submarine base. At this point, it's starting to rain, which is actually a good thing because that's going to drown out any little bit of noise that they make. So they get up to this wall. Here's the plan. Robert's going to scale the wall, does that. Now, there's the wall to the submarine base. Then there's like a courtyard, and then there's the big bunker with the casemate in it. And
oh, they went full like old school medieval castle on you. There's the wall. And then there's our courtyard, and then there's the actual castle wall.
In between the wall and this casemate bunker is cobra netting, that camouflage netting that's kind of like spanned between the two, so aerial reconnaissance can't see what's going on inside that courtyard. Now, Robert, sitting up on this wall, can see that there's a single German guard patrolling this courtyard, just going around in circles all night long. So he takes out his knife, cuts a man-sized hole in this cobra netting right where he's at, and he just waits till the guard is reasonably close to that spot, jumps through the hole, lands on top of the guard, slits his throat, then leans him up against the wall and tries to make it look like he's sleeping.
Don't disturb my friend. He's dead tired.
From here...
Is that, not Minority Report. Total Recall. Total Recall, I think that's from.
His guys drop the plastic explosives down to him. He sneaks over to the casemate, places them where he thinks they need to be to cause the maximum amount of damage, rigs it up to explode in 7 minutes, runs back to the wall. They drop a rope down to him. He climbs up. They get back in the boat. They dip. While they're making their way back in their little rubber boat, massive explosion goes off. Hopefully he did enough damage to take the casemate out for the massive assault tomorrow.
If not, it's going to at least have him panicking.
Tomorrow rolls around, they launch this massive assault. The casemate never fires a single round. Whatever happened, he apparently was able to disable it enough that they weren't able to use it.
Oh god, he's about to say unfortunately.
Fortunately, during the assault, which he also partook in, somebody stepped on a landmine, that landmine exploded, and a piece of shrapnel shredded through his leg. He ends up
hopefully lower half of the leg. Hopefully lower.
Getting hospitalized, has to go through surgery, get a prosthetic kneecap, and by the time he's recovered, the war is over.
Okay, he made it out. Unfortunately, the other dude did not, but still, our main hero made it out.
For his service, he was awarded the French Croix de Guerre, as well as the Legion of Honor. Those are equivalent to like the Bronze Star with V device and the Medal of Honor. And
I'll say the second one, he said, that is a major award.
And then from the British, he was awarded the Distinguished Service Medal and the Distinguished Conduct Medal, which is equivalent to like the American Silver Star and the Distinguished Service Cross. The Distinguished Service Cross is second only to the Medal of Honor. So,
yeah, I'll say he why was he not made a chevalier? The French knight. The French word for knight. He should have.
A bunch of high-ranking awards. And from here, he basically gets to live happily ever after, gets married, has 4 kids, becomes a mayor of his town for 30 years, and he even picks back up his family's noble title and becomes Count Robert de la Rochefoucauld.
Chevalier, that's a wine.
Come out and say he's a pimp, but I know a pimp when I see one. They call him the Count.
Thank you for watching. Best way to support the channel is go buy some merch over at thefatelectrician.com.
On healthcare provider.
Quack bang out.
Don't know the backstory to this one. That one, easy.
I can't help but wonder who the Nazi was that he ran into and had the shootout with, where they both missed with all their bullets and then decided to turn around and walk the other way. Like, it just feels like that's two main characters running into each other when they weren't supposed to.
Oh, yeah. Could you imagine if that's like, I'm going to say something weird, like Arnold's like ancestor, like grandpa? Because, it's like I said, he said, that sounds main character energy that didn't take place, but this is why I love the Fat Electrician and Jack Mandaball, who Jacked History, who we did a reaction show. We need more people just telling the stories that you don't hear throughout history. Like, I watched the Ministry of Ungentlemanly Warfare. Let the comment on. Keep the recommendations coming. Ooh, nice. But yeah, so it's like he should do the rest of the main guys. Gus, Henry, March, Phillips, Andrew Leeson. Let's see, you got Joffrey Apple, who was another guy. Like a lot of these guys. Who there? Patty Main would be a really good one. Because his story from SAS Rogue Heroes is amazing. I'm actually going to rewatch Ministry of Ungentlemanly Warfare. And I'm going to go see if SAS has any new stories. But that's it. That's all I have. I'll see you guys next year. I'm not sure if I'm streaming tonight. But I will be back on the 1st. I think I'm going to play some NFL Blitz live. Now, play some football on New Year's Day. But that's it. That's all I have. Go check out the gaming channel because that's where it's going to be live on there or Twitch. Until then, I'll see you weird people later.